installment in Freddy's Gimmie 1070 series. So we're on to 76. As Freddy said, it's a funny kind of a year. It's possible, it's a kind of a transitional year. Not as many obvious choices as in the years up to this. So it was slightly more difficult picking some of these choices. Sorry, I have a visitor here by the look of things. But a neighbour popping in, but gone in the window, a little rogue. But anyway, where was I? Back to 76. Yeah, so it's a weird kind of a transitional year. It's somewhere in between. Punk hadn't yet really kicked in, and prog was maybe entering its kind of somewhat overblown phase. But anyway, before I get to that, I'll just have a brief rundown of 1975 also rans. These are ones which for various reasons didn't make my 75 list. Soft Machine bundles. I don't think anybody, I'm not sure if anyone actually showed this, which is surprising. Steve Hillage, Fish Rising. I didn't show this because I knew that probably loads of people would show it, but it is definitely a top 10 contender. But this one I actually forgot, and I was kicking myself after. The Rotters Club, Hatfield in the North. Definitely should have included that. Bowie, Young Americans. Yeah, I think it's one of his overlooked albums. I think. I'm not sure, did anybody actually show it or not? I totally forgot that this came out in 75. I probably would have. It just totally slipped my mind. Zuma, great album, and I would have included Tonight's the Night, but again, a lot of people, I knew it would get shown quite a lot, and I didn't want to show too much stuff that other people would be showing, and I kind of forgot to show this one as well. Zappin' Beefheart, Bongo Fury, and I'll just try and get through them fairly quickly. And yeah, Another Green World. I knew this would get shown a lot as well, but it is definitely one of the best albums, but didn't show it. So so we get on to my choices for 76. And I know I've just watched Freddy's upload. I'll probably throw this video up in a couple of days, but could not show Station to Station. I mean, come on. One of the best albums of 76, and really, it's not officially part of the Berlin trilogy, but I think it really kind of, a precursor to the that double whammy which came out the following year, of Low and Heroes. So yeah, Freddie went into this in quite some detail, so I'll leave it off, but needless to say, just a stunning album. Now, I featured The Residents in my 76 update, and now this album, I was going to show this one in the 75 update because I thought that it came out in 75, but then doing a bit of Googling, I found that it actually came out in February of 76, so it makes the cut in this year's update, and that is The Residents presents The Third Reich and Roll. Now, yeah, the Residents, if you're familiar with them, will know that. What can I say about this album? firstly, okay, highly controversial cover art. I mean, of course, if you're going to feature, you know, Nazi imagery, of course, you're going to court controversy. This is basically, this album consists of, it's kind of two very long tracks in which they kind of do these kind of weird pastiches of well-known 1960s hit singles, and just kind of do this almost kind of unrecognizable kind of bastardization of them. There's also they also made this kind of weird short film at the time called Violinist Fats, I think. Well, it was meant to be a full-length film, but I think they only managed to do, like, kind of did not shoot the whole thing. But there's some clips of it on YouTube to accompanying some of the tracks from this, and you know, it's well worth a look. I mean, you know, the Residents just, you know, nobody did weirdness quite like the Residents. By the way, this is a reissue from '79. I think as with Meet the Residents, the initial 1976 release of this was very limited, and as you know, they kind of started picking up more of a following in the kind of years after its release. No. This is an album which I was very lucky to pick this up recently for very cheaply, but it's not one that generally it's, you know, this was released on Brian Eno's Obscure label, which he set up in '75. So this is one of the early releases. Actually, it's number 7, Obscure number 7, and this is by Penguin Cafe Orchestra. Music from the Penguin Cafe. Penguin Cafe Orchestra, led by Simon Jeffs. This is this was reissued in the '80s with totally different cover art, and that's probably the one that most people would be familiar with, including myself prior to coming across this one. But this is the original 1976 release on Brian Eno's Obscure label. So so this is basically kind of modern classical, but highly kind of experimental modern classical meets kind of jazz meets, yeah, very hard to categorize, but extremely, you know, there's use of cellos, violin, electric piano, electric guitar. It was recorded between '74 to '76, and it's probably, this album is probably a little bit darker than some of their later kind of more kind of quirky. Well, there's kind of dark elements in it, I think, but yeah, and I was very, very lucky to pick this original copy up for just a $5, because it's anything, basically any originals on the Obscure label are generally very hard to find, and very pricey. But okay, staying kind of with an Eno, in an Eno vein. So this is an album which he recorded with, well, as you can see here, Phil Manzanera, Bill McCormack from Quiet Sun, Francis Monkman, Simon Phillips, and Lloyd Watson. So this is kind of basically a kind of a progressive supergroup under the name of 801. So this is a live album which they recorded in '76. So there's a cover, Baby's on Fire from Eno's own Here Come the Warm Jets, Diamond Head, which is by Phil Manzanera, which was on, I think, his solo album from the previous year. There's a cover of The Kinks' You Really Got Me, and Third Uncle, which is from Eno's Taking Tiger Mountain. Yeah, so this is a cracker of a live album with an amazing array of musicians. All and this is quite cheap. This album can be picked up quite cheaply. So it's on Polydor, and yeah, I highly recommend this. Okay. Now another live album featuring two musical giants, Billy Cobham and George Duke Band, live on tour in Europe, and that's just kind of what it says on the tin. Recorded live across Europe in various venues, Norway, yeah, just basically everywhere really, in '76. So I mean, it's a rare opportunity to hear these two together, two giants of fusion, basically. So I can't not mention that cover, by the way, and that is one freaky cover. I don't know about you, but it kind of, I wonder, did John Carpenter, was he influenced by this when he was conceiving that movie, The Thing? You know, that scene with where the head, where it turns into a kind of a spider or something. Anyway, but yeah, this is a great live album. Like, two giants. What can I say? Okay, now Freddy did show this one as well, but I'm going to show it anyway. And Stevie Wonder, Songs in the Key of Life. Yeah, one of a great run of albums which he brought out in, kind of between maybe 71, 72 to 76. Yeah, booklet. But yeah, so yeah, I agree with Isn't She Lovely, by the way. I mean, that's probably the one really weak track on this, and it's kind of an indicator of the direction he would go in, kind of later into the '80s. But anyway, enough of that. The rest of the album is just cracking, and thanks to Kevin Dr. Strangely Strange, I have the bonus single which originally came with this album. So Kevin kindly gave me this as part of his great VCLT package. This is All Day Sucker, Easy Going Evening, and Saturin, Ebony Eyes. So speaking of Kevin, I don't know he seems to be taking a break from the VC, but anyway, yeah, Songs in the Key of Life by Stevie Wonder. Now, yeah, so it's kind of staying in a fusion direction. Jean-Luc Ponty, Imaginary Voyage. Jean-Luc Ponty, best known for, well, his work with Zappa, with Frank Zappa, but this is a really nice solo album which he brought out in '76, and it is called Imaginary Voyage. And yeah, love the opening track, New Country. Great electric violin from Jean-Luc Ponty. Okay, moving on now. Yeah, so '76 was a bit of a funny year, and it was kind of difficult to know. Now, I did leave off Oxygen by I was very strongly tempted to show that because I do love that album, but I wanted to kind of maybe go for some slightly less obvious choices, but anyway, this is by Patrick Moraz. This is called The Story of I. Patrick Moraz, a Swiss keyboardist who was briefly a member of Yes, maybe in the mid 70s, I think he, yeah. Yeah, so this was recorded in Brazil, and there's it came out on Charisma. There's a strong kind of it was recorded with a lineup of Brazilian percussionists. So this is really kind of prog meets a kind of Brazilian. I don't know what you call it. Tropicala, but there is definitely a kind of a interesting thing running through it. I wouldn't pick this, like, this one wouldn't be one of my, I mean, but just in the context of '76, I think it's a pretty interesting choice. For the, because I don't know, I don't think I see it shown much in the VC, but it's pretty common. It's not rare. Like, you can pick it up cheaply. Okay, now next one, ECM, and I think this is one of the first ECMs ever to enter my collection, courtesy of Ben Costello, who gave me this as VCLT, and that is Yellow Fields by Eberhard Weber. I think one or two people showed this in the '76 update, and I was, it was recorded in '75, but it was released in '76. So yeah, it makes a '76 cut, but yeah, so so Eberhard Weber on bass, Charlie Mariano, John Christensen on drums, and Rainer Brunninghaus on keyboards. And brilliant chamber piece, fantastic album. Yeah, this is one of my favorite, really one of my favorite ECMs in my whole collection, I think. I mean, I don't have a massive ECM collection, but this is one of the first, and I think it remains one of my favorite. Yeah, there's quite a few of his other albums of his that I'm still looking to add to the collection. So the last choice is Kevin Coyne, and this is another live album, and this is called In Living Black and White. Kevin Coyne, I've spoken about him quite a bit on the VC. Sorry, there's a bit of a glare there. It's kind of weird. Light is getting a bit funny there. Spoken about Kevin Coyne on the VC quite a bit previously. He was married to what the hell? Dagmar. Sorry, I've forgotten his name or her name. Oh, good. Dagmar Prowse. She was in Henry Cole, I think. Look, okay, forget it. So this is a live album he recorded in '76. It's quite interesting lineup here. Andy Summers is on guitar. Andy Summers, who would go on to play with the Police. Some of his tracks here: Eastbourne Ladies, House on the Hill, songs that deal with the issue of mental illness. And Kevin Coyne himself was a psychiatric nurse, so he had quite an insider knowledge on issues like that. So it was something that he wrote about quite a lot and touched upon a good bit in his songs. So released on Virgin. One of the more interesting artists, I think, on the Virgin label in the '70s. The cat is up to something. I'll have to check on him. Okay, so yeah, that's it. That's the 76 update. So just under the 20 minutes mark. So thanks very much for watching, and we'll all look forward to 77, which should be a very interesting year indeed.